Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm your host with the most unpaid parking tickets, Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. This episode, we're talking wide receivers. My first impressions of the top 10 wide receivers in the 2023 NFL Draft. This video was made prior to the NFL Combine, which is set to start tomorrow. My timing sucks. Wide receivers come in many flavors, and this class is perhaps less flavorful than most. Now, what I consider to be a great wide receiver might be very different from what you do. I'm less interested in the physical freaks or guys who can jump out of the gym. Sure, it's neat if a guy can outrun a horse, but it won't win me a championship. Unless he's playing against horses. I'm looking for route running, yards after the catch, and the ability to make tough catches, whether they be in traffic, contested, or on the perimeter. I want to see they can win with skill. So let's get to it. Zay Flowers, Boston. This is my favorite wide receiver in the draft, and it's not even close. Flowers is a phenomenal route runner. He can put a dead stop on a guy and then fly past them before they can process what just happened. He makes his own space, and once the ball gets in his hands, it's only just begun. Because he's gonna spin, juke, fake, run around, and through you. He's shown great concentration with deep contested catches and in the end zone to fight through the defender and make a tough catch. I scouted Zay Flowers last year before he went back to college. This is what I said. Skinny, shifty, tons of yak. I called him a skinny Deebo Samuel. I'm sure the yards after catch is why I comped him to Deebo Samuel. I've heard him comp to Antonio Brown, and unlike Brown himself, that isn't crazy. Former wide receiver Steve Smith loves him too, complimenting his route running ability and calling him a home run hitter, which is the wrong sport, my dude, but I take your point. I don't have any concerns about Flowers. If you want to nitpick, he's not going to grade out as the fastest receiver in this class, and I'm sure he's not even 6 foot, which I am, and it's fucking great. I have a larger catch radius, but all it catches is pizza and sadness. Flowers' lack of height doesn't concern me. He can beat defenders a dozen different ways. He doesn't need DK Metcalf shirtless gym pics to fill me with confidence. His college tape already does that. I don't care what team drafts him or in what round. He's my first receiver off the board in rookie drafts. If loving Zay Flowers is wrong, I don't want to be right. Kayshon Boutte, LSU. He looks the part. He's got great hands, a good mix of speed, balance, and vision. Able to leap over defenders and steal passes, shows sideline awareness. Physically, he's the complete package. His comp would be a reverse Scooby-Doo villain, because Boutte looks like one of the best receivers in this class. Until you look under the mask, that's where I find some pretty terrifying stuff. His 2021 season was cut short after a leg injury, and the word is that he mixed it up with head coach Brian Kelly and LSU about returning to play. Boutte was painted as a me-first guy who felt entitled to things. People questioned his work ethic. Some with knowledge said Boutte completely ignored his rehab, and there's evidence in his 2022 tape to show he gave up on routes and plays. Couple this with multiple reports that he's not a very good route runner, and I'm seeing multiple red flags that just can't be ignored. In a normal year, I'd just slide him down my board, but there's not really anyone better than him in my top 10. As uncomfortable as I am with him, I can't really lower his rank right now. Maybe it's all misinformation, or maybe he matures through the process. I don't care what he does at the Combine, I'm more interested in his pre-draft interviews and the situation he ends up in. Obviously, anywhere anyone gets drafted is a huge deal, but with Boutte, I think the right situation, the right people around him, will matter more than most. Oh, and by the way, his real comp is Michael Gallup with just a hint of OBJ. Xavier Hutchinson, Iowa State. His best attributes are his route running, his hands, his ability to make contested catches, and his fight after the catch. First thing I noticed in his tape was he fell down a lot when making a catch. It took me a while to figure out why. His quarterback's ball placement. Hutchinson was constantly going up high to grab the ball, which he did, causing him to fall down, and that was better than the times he was throwing a ball in tight coverage only to get annihilated by the defender for his effort. Hutchinson frequently made bad throws look like good decisions. His speed is a concern. He's not a vertical threat, and he's not very explosive off the line, so he doesn't create much separation from defenders. However, His ability to make contested catches can make up for that. I think he's better than we've seen, and I look forward to seeing what he can do with a better quarterback at the next level. He's been called a classic receiver due to his size and ability to play on the outside. His comp is Michael Thomas. Jordan Addison, USC. Addison's strength should be his speed, or at least his short area quickness. He's a good route runner with the ability to make quick cuts and change direction. Shows ability to create space and get good separation. He's also good with the ball in his hands, exploiting defenders' pursuit angles. My concerns are his size and usage. He's been comped to Devontae Smith. Physically, that makes sense. He's slender, but I don't think he gets off the line the same way as Smith, which is a huge part of Smith's game and why defenders aren't constantly shoving him into his cleats. Addison might find it harder than Smith to get free if he's up against press man coverage in the NFL, something he didn't face a lot in college. Addison profiles well for the slot, where Smith only played out of about 20% of the time this last year, which was up from the previous year. Playing in the slot could be a great way for Addison to avoid some of the potential issues created by his size. He's not a wide receiver 1, but he could be a high-volume target in the slot, and that would hold a lot of value in PPR fantasy, and that's good enough for number 4 on my list. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Ohio State. Last year, there was a lot of heat on JSN, which feels like a much safer way to refer to him. He's a savvy route runner, possesses a lot of technical skills, great hands, decisive with great field vision, great footwork and body control. He's got good size. He's a slot receiver. In college, he lined up in the slot about 88% of the time. Some people view that as a negative, concerned that his route tree is limited because he might not be able to play on the outside. I don't really care about that. After X receiver, the slot is the second most coveted to me. I'll take a high-volume, savvy route-running slot receiver over a Z receiver any day. My concerns for JSN are simply speed. He lacks breakaway speed, so I'd expect he does a lot of damage in the middle of the field in the NFL, but unless he gets red zone targets, his production might be rather middling. People have called him a navigator. Not the fastest guy on the field, but he finds space, gets open, and forces defenders into bad angles on him. ESPN comped him to CeeDee Lamb, and I don't see that at all. Draft Network comped him to Tyler Boyd. That makes more sense, but I'm gonna comp him to Amon-Ra St. Brown, because my initial analysis was similar. He's fine. He's okay. St. Brown didn't blow the roof off my doors in college. He was fine. And then he got to the NFL and burned the whole thing down. JSN has given me similar vibes. He's fine. I don't find him as polarizing as everyone else seems to. And like I said off the top, I'll take a guy with skill over a guy with speed any day. That's my top 5. I'm pretty comfortable with that. A lot more than I am with the next 5. Jalin Hyatt, Tennessee. He's an explosive vertical threat. Good elusive route running. Good hands. Despite his slender frame, he's a good blocker and shows good fight for the ball. My concerns for Hyatt are his slender frame, and he ran a limited route tree in college. His comp is Will Fuller. I get a Chargers vibe from this guy. The only thing they were missing last year was a true deep threat. The only thing? Alright, fair enough. The thing they were really missing last year was a true deep threat for Justin Herbert. I think Herbert needs a field stretcher. Last year, they used DeAndre Carter for a bit. Hyatt would be a massive upgrade. Quentin Johnston, TCU. Johnston is very athletic and generates good yardage after the catch. He shows good vision and cutting ability. He's difficult to defend due to his size and speed. He forces a lot of missed tackles. And he's a good end zone target. My concerns are that he's not a good blocker, which seems like a weird thing to pick on, but some coaches won't let you on the field if they think you're a liability when it comes to blocking. He ran a limited route tree at TCU, not great at contested catches despite his size, not great at catching in general. I see a lot of noise about his body catches with his chest too often. I saw a lot of dropped passes. I think Johnston has been winning with his physical gifts for so long, he hasn't fully developed his skills. That can only go on for so long. He's being comped to guys like AJ Green and T. Higgins, and maybe that's his upside, but he's got a lot of work to do and a ton of risk because it's sexy to compare him to Green and Higgins, but I could just as easily compare him to Denzel Mims. Cedric Tillman, Tennessee. He's a big dude with a thick frame. He's physical. He's able to outmuscle defenders on 50-50 balls. He's more of a possession receiver. He's got speed, but it's nothing amazing. What I like about Tillman is he doesn't need a clean ball to make it work. Get it near him, and he's gonna make it happen. He's got some decent after-the-catch ability, but it's not with his speed. Again, it comes from his physicality, either dragging or trucking defenders. His comp is somewhere around Allen Lazard to Michael Pittman. In a wide receiver class that's full of sub-6 footers, Tillman stands out just for being able to reach the top shelf. Marvin Mims, Oklahoma. Mims' tape is full of moments where he's either wide open or he's making crazy highlight reel catches. He's got speed for days and creates great yards after the catch. He's a vertical threat. He has experience returning punts. It's hard just to know what his ceiling could be. My concerns are he's a little undersized. He might not be a high-volume target. In fact, it's possible he's simply a special teams contributor and an occasional deep threat. I think he's dangerous with the ball in his hands, but that opportunity might be too few and far between for fantasy. His comp is Angry Darnell Mooney or Elijah Moore with less beef. I wouldn't mind seeing him go to the Eagles. There are major question marks on Quez Watkins right now, and at the very least, I think he could be a huge upgrade over our current punt returner. Mims could be a difference maker on special teams. Rashee Rice, SMU. He's got a good catch radius, good blocker, ability to make defenders miss in space. Concerns: I've seen mixed reports on his route running. There are some issues with drops and concentration. In general, I have questions about his overall speed, but we'll find out soon enough. The comp I liked best was Justin Ross with glimpses of Chris Godwin. That's the list. First impressions, top 10 receivers. The end kind of falls apart for me. I could have just as easily said Jonathan Mingo, Josh Downs, or Trey Palmer. There's a number of guys I'm interested in, but not enthusiastic about. It feels like everyone is between a B+ and a B-. If your Dynasty team needs receiver help this year, it might be smarter to try and trade for somebody from last year's draft. Go get a price check on John Mechie, Alec Pierce, or Khalil Shakir. Let me know your thoughts below. Who did I miss? Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. We'll catch you next time. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Ow, I just sat on my balls.